Joining me live from Salt Lake City, Utah is Mindy Gulati, a criminal defense attorney and CEO of Fundamental Advisory, a consulting firm. Mindy, I have a lot of questions for you. Let me begin with asking you whether Andrew's arrest really marks a turning point in this investigation, holding the powerful accountable.
Yes, I think this is a pretty historic moment. If you look back in history, this is the first British royal to be arrested since King Charles I about 400 years ago. This is one of the most high-profile people involved in the Epstein investigation. And yeah, his arrest is pretty shocking, but I think relieving for a lot of people to see that even royals are not above the law.
So at this point, what is it that we know about the allegations? In England, there are a number of laws that limit what police and the media can actually report when there's an ongoing investigation. And we should add, Andrew has not been charged with any sexual offenses. He was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Mindy, what does that mean exactly?
Yeah, so the arrest stems from investigations in sharing confidential government information with Jeffrey Epstein while he was part of the UK trade envoy. And as you noted, the laws are a little bit different in the UK as opposed to the United States. And so there's a lot of protections. In the UK, there's a law called the Contempt of Court, which is very clear that people deserve to have a fair trial. And that includes being very careful from law enforcement police agencies on what they're going to release about what they're investigating. And so it's much more tight-lipped than it is in the United States. In the United States, there's a lot of pundits, there's a lot of speculation. We often see these known as perp walks where someone's arrested and they could be completely innocent, but we get a lot of judgment from, the media and from the public. And the UK has a little bit different approach, which is have to have a lot more parameters and guardrails against assuming someone is guilty. Now, in the United States, we have a presumption of innocence and that you are assumed innocent until proven guilty. However, our media functions quite differently. And so I think when we're looking at what's going on here, in the days ahead, we're probably going to learn some more things, but a lot of this is going to be kept under wraps because of some very clear expectations within the UK in terms of how they report on arrests and investigations.
So what is next for Andrew from a legal perspective, based on what we know at this point?
So he's been arrested. We know that. It looks like there is an investigation. Investigations do not necessarily mean somebody is guilty or prove a crime, but there's quite a lot of investigations that are either going on or about to go on within the UK. With this investigation, we do know, actually, I just read a report that they're even searching the property of King Charles, a private estate right now where Andrew used to live. And so I think we're going to be learning a lot about that. Typically, an investigation takes place, and then the law enforcement and lawyers determine whether there's going to be any charges. So he has not been charged with anything yet. He has been arrested, and more to come. These stories are just breaking hour by hour.
What do you make of King Charles' reaction? He released a statement basically naming Andrew by his name and not referring to him as his brother, adding the law must take its course.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a smart move on King Charles's part to distance himself and also to make sure that he is endorsing the proper process. Everyone involved in these kinds of situations has to be careful with their wording. And I think what you see here is a distancing from his brother, but you also see sort of in line with how media and different reports on investigations go on in the UK, not lending any speculation, but also not trying to interfere. There's a big public sentiment right now that these elites and these men who were involved with Jeffrey Epstein must be held accountable. And I think it was a smart move by King Charles to let the investigation take its course and not try to interfere, because that is what the public is demanding across the globe.
And Mindy, finally, what precedent could this set for future cases linked to Jeffrey Epstein, especially when it comes for accountability here in the United States?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that some of the dominoes are going to fall. We have a lot of very influential people in the United States who have either been named in the Epstein files, who have been accused of things, who have been implicated in some way. And I do think that this is going to be a substantial push to have others held accountable in the United States right now. There is a lot of talk about what are we going to do here, because we're seeing this precedent in the UK, and I don't think the US wants to be left behind and not holding these people accountable.
All right, Mindy Gulati, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much.